Hello, hello, hello. How's everybody doing? My name is MyOhMyke. Now we get started because we'll have the last stuff right at the start of the run here. 3, 2, 1, go! But we are playing 100% reverse boss order on the original version of the game. This is not the Game Boy Color remake. This is the OG version of the game that came out on the Game Boy. Which is going to let us use more glitches that either got patched out in the Game Boy Color remake or are just banned out in the more popular no save and quit, no wrong warp, no out of bounds category. The first of which we're going to be taking advantage of is screen warping right here. Yoop. I wanted to get one more in. But screen warping is easy to do. It was even in a Nintendo Power issue in the classified information section or something like that. But you just want to open up the map screen as you're moving from one room to another, and the screen will change, and usually some or most of the sprites will move with you, but Link will stay to keep his place. So I can move down and enter the next room from the bottom of the room, which is really weird, but it's going to let me do quite a lot of sequence breaking, not the least of which is skipping the need for the power bracelet to get on this side of that barrier in particular. And we're going to be seeing this cave quite often. It just happens to have 3 very easy to kill enemies in it, and I need to kill enemies, a certain number of enemies every time I want to go into the Kennel World, which is the next place I'll be going. For the first trip I need to kill 3 enemies, and for the rest of the game it'll be 6. And the number is, you need a specific number of enemies because this area in particular works differently depending on how many enemies you've killed. You can see if I go in with 3, I can walk pretty much anywhere I want to. None of the graphics or anything really look familiar, but the most important thing is that this staircase works, but only if I go in with having defeated 3 enemies. If I go in with any other number, that staircase just doesn't work. It's a solid block that I can't walk over. And I want to get into the back half of Dungeon 1 here. And we are going to do reverse boss order, so I'm going to have to come back here later. But I want Rock's Feathers so I can hop around, be able to go where I want to. So we're going to start off the run with a little bit of item collection. Yo, save and quit. And I'll talk about, we're going to see a lot of super jumping during the run as well, so we can talk about that as we get to... I need to go grab that seashell after I steal the shovel. Turn around. There we go. In fact, I'm going to get it right now, or I'm going to be missing 1 seashell later. I'm going to be very confused. There we go. But super jumping is going to let us break through boundaries in caves and dungeons and things like that, which is not just going to let me skip around like one individual dungeon or one individual cave, but if you're able to go out of bounds and walk through doors you're not supposed to, walk through boundaries you're not supposed to, the rest of the game is kind of loaded on the other side of the walls there. There's, depending on where you are, you'll be able to go from one cave system to another. You'll be able to go from the world map or from a cave system into a dungeon. The map is stored in game data much differently than it actually plays out in casual playthrough. Like, that piece of heart is the one that's hidden somewhere in the Tal Mountains. So we've just, as far as the world map is concerned, we just skipped from like the center part of the map all the way up to the northern half of the map. It would take us a long time to walk there just normally, for sure. If I get this one, yep. So right there you can see what happens if your screen warp timing is just a little bit off. Screen warping itself isn't a frame perfect trick, but if I want to go through a solid wall, my timing has to be very good, or I'm going to be stuck in the wall. You'll see sometimes when I do a screen warp, Link's going to move a little bit before the map screen comes up, and that usually means I'm not going to be able to get through the wall like I want to. Oh, we just wanted to split up that time. And again, I gotta do 2 screen warps there. I'm gonna get stuck in that line of trees at the bottom. But that's setting up another trip into the counter world. The reason why they were all the old ladies sweeping rather than moblins is we screen warped over the load trigger for the different sprite sheets. So the game just loads whatever sprites it happens to already have in memory. Alright. I just want this big fat fish that's right underneath me. He's got a piece of heart with him. There we go. And if I save and quit out of that text box, I can move around freely. And the room right next door just happens to be the doghouse, which is where there's a secret seashell. So it's just a handy little shortcut. Good, I got 2 seashells, so I'm all caught up on that right now. Yo, to the right. I'm gonna skip the power boots here in a second. Whoa. So you can see you can screen warp in the counter world. I generally try not to screen warp going vertically. The couple of times I've managed to get the game to soft lock or just freeze completely in the counter world is when I'm screen warping vertically, so I tend to just avoid it. Because the counter world just plays by its own set of rules as far as movement goes. There we go. So that screen warp lets me get on the little outer ledge there to grab the Nightmare Key for Dungeon 3. Oh, no you don't. Get away from me. There we go. Power boots. Pegasus boots is what I'm looking for. Yo. But now I've got my boots, I can go fast, run everywhere I want to. And the only item I need as far as being able to travel through the world map is the flippers, so that I can swim around in the water, to mud around the castle, all that stuff. But even with just the level 1 bracelet and the feathers, I'll be able to go anywhere that doesn't require swimming. To the left. Screen warping doesn't have to be used just to sequence break. You can use it just to travel around a little faster as well. Oop. That is not Rock's feather. There we go. You see, we're actually back in Dungeon 3 now, and then I'm not sure, that might be the Dungeon 4 entrance I just walked through, but right after this staircase in particular, it's going to put us right in Dungeon 4, pretty close to the flippers. Again, for this, excuse me, for this screen warp right here, I'm going to need my time to be very good so I can get through the wall, right to the flippers. And now we can make our way over to Dungeon 4, or Dungeon 4, to Dungeon 8, and start working through our reverse boss order part of the run. Yep. See, that's what I get for trying to skip the wall. Alright, you know what? We'll just go the slightly longer way then, since those trees are not cooperating today. Yo! A little early. Oh! It felt really early, but I'm gonna hop down here. We actually unlocked the warp zone to Dungeon 8. I'm right all the way back when I grabbed the sword, and I screen warped through the bottom of the to the bottom of the beach, and actually wraps you up back to the top of the world map. You can see where we are now. But that's what happens if you screen warp off of the bottom of the world map. It's gonna move you to the top of the map. Come on. There we go. So there's a different Blame to Skip than we used to use in No Save and Quit, No Wrong Warps. Excuse me, it's just to screen warp around the fight entirely and go grab the magic rod. Whoops. And then I want to get back to Dungeon 8, but I don't want to go through the front door, because the boss fight's actually pretty close to the back entrance here. So you can screen warp yourself to that little bitty ledge, and then screen warp yourself over to the doorway. Nope, I want those. There we go. And then if I super jump here, it's going to put me right in the boss room, so I can fight Hothead. And the fun thing about fighting Hothead first is he deals exactly 4 hearts of damage if he hits you with the fire that he spews out when he falls under. He hits you for 4 hearts of damage if he hits you directly. So it's a one-shot kill. If you come in and fight him first. But falling into lava only deals half a heart of damage. Yo! Which I didn't necessarily mean to show off, but... yeah, most of these dungeons are going to... I'll be skipping most of the content. Especially for Dungeon 4. When we go back to Dungeon 4 later, we're just going to land in the boss room. And we're not even going to see the rest of the dungeon whatsoever. Oh, come on. I feel like I just skipped something. And I did. I'm about to skip an entire room. Boy, was I going to be really confusing when I was short a couple of seashells. And you can see we just left the top of the world map where Dungeon 8 is, but now we're inside of Dungeon 1. And as soon as I grab the seashell from the hidden room in Dungeon 1, boom. If you go up one more screen, this is actually the room that's hiding just beneath the moat in the castle. The name of the castle, I've just forgotten it. It's right on the tip of my tongue and I can't think of it. But I'll point out that room as we go by it later. But it skips needing to get the... Oh no! It skips needing the flying rooster to go get that. And if I were to go up the staircase in that cave rather than just save and quit, I'd be soft locked there without the flying rooster. So don't do that, for sure. Come on, pick it up. Get the guy, pick up. There we go. There it goes. There we go. So the Mad Batter here, we're going to see him, or he appears 3 times in the game. Every time you see him, you can throw some magic powder down the well, which makes him mad and gets super angry, and then he's just going to curse you by making you carry twice as much ammunition as you could before. Which is handy for us because it means it's going to max out my bombs and my arrows and my magic powder. So for most other categories, you need to keep an eye, especially on your bomb count, and picking up the bomb upgrade is a good way to make sure you've got enough for the whole run, rather than having to go track down bomb drops. But instead of having to go find all 3 locations, if you can go out of bounds, they're actually just right next to each other in game data, so you can just walk from one room to another. When in reality, they're very spread out on the world map. And all the way back to where we started. Try not to get squashed to death here. Or the bats. The bats could kill me too if I'm coming in with very low health like this. That is not where I wanted to go. One of the... Oh, come on, get away. One of the hardest tricks in Link's Awakening speedrunning is the rooster skip. So we're just gonna skip it by doing a rooster skip as soon as I decide to get to where I'm actually trying to go. Go away. There we go. Oh my goodness. Alright, kind of took the long way around in this cave here. There we go. No! Oh! Alright, we'll do this cave one more time. Good grief. But the hard part about, the drawback to all the screen warping is it keeps enemies on the screen sometimes when I don't intend them to be there. And these cracked tiles, that's how this cave is supposed to look, by the way. Look how easy that was. The cracked tiles also don't reset. So if I don't hop around the map like a crazy person, I'm going to end up falling in a hole and sending up a soft lock that I have to save and quit out of. There you go. There's the Dungeon 7 key. Be able to show off the room that actually lets us skip here in a second. Yo! Right over here. You know what? I actually can't get over there very quickly, so forget it. You guys don't get to see it. Ha ha ha. I forget. I meant to show it off, leaving the Dungeon 7, the key room. I forgot I was gonna have to shove all those rubies, or those blocks out the way on this side. But I needed to go in a cave to set up a save and quit anyway for this seashell. We also walk right by Luigi's hut there. That's his little home here. And he takes care of roosters and chickens and all that stuff. So when you find the flying rooster, Luigi's actually there taking care of it when the flying rooster leaves you after Dungeon 7. So the flying rooster has a home to go to too. But Luigi makes his cameo appearance here. You would also see Yoshi, Wart from Super Mario 2 is in the game, and we're gonna see him later on in the run. We'll also run into Goombas, Paragoombas, a Kirby. All sorts of different Nintendo characters make a cameo in Link's Awakening. Boop, to the left. To the left. I'm holding left. Come on. There we go. And we're actually going to take the time to break the curse on Terran here. Because we'll be able to skip the text that you'd have to read through anyway. And now that I've saved him, I actually go all the way back to town now. And since I have the ocarina, I can learn Marin's song for the ocarina. And even though we're not going to be using the ocarina in the speedrun, I do need to pick up all 3 songs as part of the 100% requirement. There we go. And also, Marin is a mom because, again, we screen warped over a load trigger. So the game doesn't load in the appropriate sprites for being in town. What I can't figure out is why when she's singing and dancing, the sprite is okay. And then when she's just looking at me and there's a text box on the screen and she's not singing, the sprite is quite broken. But go. All the way back to our little hidey hole cave here. So we can make our way to Dungeon 7. Screen warp. Oh, let me get rid of this ocarina right now. I mean, the ocarina is very, very annoying to have in the menu if you have any songs for it whatsoever. I mean, I have to pull up a little sub-menu. It kind of hijacks your control for a little bit. I had to the left here first so I can grab a seashell out of this outer platform. You see, there's a Goomba, and they're called anti-Kirby's in Link's Awakening. So they're kind of funny-looking Kirby's, but they do exactly what you expect them to do. They're going to try to eat you up and spit you out, and they do a fair amount of damage, but if you take the time to kill them, they usually drop fairies. And this is the one super jump in the game that, it's the same trick with just slightly different timing, so that I land on that raised block rather than all the way over by the ledge. There we go. Oh. There we go. Need to be able to stay on the outer rim here. We'll grab the mirror shield. We're actually already done with everything we would need the mirror shield for, which is mainly just getting into Dungeon 8. We're also going to skip need to knock down these pillars that you'll get to see again. There are 4 of these pillars in Dungeon 7, and you're supposed to drag that big cannonball around to knock them all down. It's a very long and tedious process. That's the big puzzle mechanic for Dungeon 7. But if you're able to go out of bounds, you can just get up to the rooftop that you're supposed to be able to get to without having to do all that work. If you ever actually had to do Dungeon 7 in a speedrun, I never would have bothered to learn to speed any kind of Link's Awakening speedrun. Dungeon 7 is just frustrating and annoying. So even in a no out of bounds category, there are ways to skip through Dungeon 7 without needing to do all of that work. Mainly by using a bomb trigger glitch. Because this is Zelda speedrun, so you gotta use bombs for something. But bomb trigger glitches to knock down the pillars, rather than needing that big old cannonball or whatever it's supposed to be. Oh, I didn't have DNOS on. Thank you. I can do that. I always forget to check that on my marathon layouts. That's my fault. But that room has a piece of heart in it, obviously. That one's, I think, kind of easy to find. If you end up falling to a room full of water, you might get curious and explore anyway. Like, there's nothing else in this room. There's gotta be something under the water, obviously. The next piece of heart, I think, is much more difficult to find. It's very well hidden. Go away, dude. And there's really nothing telling you to go check this specific spot. So you could be here a while. If you're missing exactly one piece of heart, it's probably the one I'm about to grab in a couple of screens here. Right here by the second hole to the right, or second hole from the left, rather. Just hiding out in the water there. And that staircase is also where that seashell is. Earlier in the game I said I would need the flying rooster for normally. I can't even screen warp to that to the staircase there. And if I don't have the flying rooster, there's no way for me to leave other than the ocarina either. Yeah, even though there's the the tricky way to get around Dungeon 7. Before there were bomb triggers, the bomb glitches, Dungeon 7, even in a speedrun, was quite frustrating. Some of the jumping in that, it looked extremely cool. I mean, it was super cool jumping. I mean, you'd have Link, like, super jumping. He would be dash jumping with the boots while carrying the cannonball, while throwing the cannonball in the middle of the jump. Like, it looked super awesome, but it was a real pain in the butt. So unfortunately, the speedrun doesn't even use those strategies anymore, because now you can just use bombs, but Dungeon 7 was definitely one of the cooler parts of this cool looking parts of the speedrun. Can I get the screen warp that I need? I need to get one extra screen warp there, and I'm just flubbing the one extra screen warp. But 2 rooms north of this shrine is the back entrance for Dungeon 6, which is where I'm trying very desperately to get to. There we go. So you can get up in that little corner. I can actually move around there. Come over here. That one has chests. I mean, that chest has rupees. It's English today. Outside will be a seashell, and I can come right back in and save and quit to the start. Oh. No, Moldorm got rained away. Because I can grab my level 2 bracelet. Which I don't think we're ever gonna actually need the level 2 part of the bracelet, but it is part of 100% to get the upgrade. Let me... Oh my goodness. Get out of the wall here, Link. Oh my gosh. If I could get rid of the sprite lag, we'd be doing okay. So the hitbox for this boss is actually there as soon as you enter the room. There we go. So you can drop 3 bombs on him before the fight even begins. Because he only takes 5 bombs to kill. 1, 2, 3, 4, drop. So that already takes care of half of the fight before it even really starts. If you have the hook shot, you can also... I forget how the entire trick works, but there's a trick you can do with the hook shot and the pots in that room that makes it so you can't take damage at all from the flying tiles, and that makes the boss fight super easy as well. But just walking in the room and dropping 3 bombs is very easy to do, and it cuts the fight in half. Two, 3. I hate the Paragoombas. The bombs hit you even if you're diving underwater, which is already annoying enough, but the knockback when you're the knockback when you're swimming is very extreme, if you ask me. It's great when you get the bomb shoots you in the right direction, you get a nice damage boost from it, but otherwise, it's very hard to get going in the right direction again. And if you keep an eye on where that statue is supposed to be, you'll see that if I screen warp correctly here, yeah, you can see I'd be able to go down the staircase without having to move the statue. But when I leave the cave that's under there, the statue moves back into place, and then you're soft locked right there, unless you have the ocarina. So don't do that. That's a huge time loss as far as the speedrun's concerned. But here's the one trick I'm going to use with bombs in this category. So I'm going to drop a whole bunch of bombs right there on that square. That does a bomb trigger glitch, which is dropping 2 bombs in a 4-frame window, which is really easy to do in this particular room. But when you do a bomb trigger glitch, the game's going to start playing whatever special event is supposed to happen on the screen, or in the room that you're in, even if you don't meet the requirements. So for that room in particular, there's a cutscene where I trade away the fishing hook and get the necklace in the American version. This is the Japanese version, so we get the mermaid's bikini top that we return and trade for a mermaid scale. But the bomb trigger glitch is used in no out of bounds category to skip needing to do anything that involves an ocarina primarily. So opening the windfish egg, you don't need the ocarina for that. You don't have to go learn the song for that. You can use bombs to make the song play. You can get into Dungeon 8 with the bomb trigger glitch. You can skip the Big Fat Walrus over by Animal Village. You can skip that with the bomb trigger. Anything that would require the ocarina, anything that would require any kind of cutscene almost, can be skipped with bomb triggers. Go away. And here I'm going to take advantage of the fact that the Game Boy is a very simple console, and the game is very simply programmed. I'm going to solve the puzzle here, and the prize for solving a puzzle in that room is a small key. The prize for solving a puzzle in this room is the hook shot. The game only keeps track of, the game doesn't keep track of what item drops. It keeps track of the fact that a hidden item has dropped on the screen. So if you're able to screen warp a hidden item from one room to another, it will change according to whatever room you've just screen warped into. And since I technically never picked up that small key, I can solve the puzzle again and get that key back, which is good, because otherwise I'd be stuck in a lobby here. That's not a feather. So I'll make sure I'm right on the edge of the screen here to do a fire rod glitch there. If you open up the inventory screen at the same time you change rooms, or I'm sorry, if you open up the inventory screen at the same time you shoot the fire rod, if you get the timing correctly, the game gets stuck on the part of the fire rod animation where it needs to draw the fireball on the screen. And it will just continue to drop fireballs, or draw fireballs on the screen over and over again until there's just no more room in, I'm gonna go ahead and just save and quit here, until there's no more room in memory to draw any other sprites on the screen. If you do that right on the edge of the screen, you can carry all of those fireballs into the next room, and there's just nowhere in memory for the game to spawn a mini-boss in that example. So if I don't do it again here, he'll actually respawn on me, because I haven't fought him yet. No! Get up there, Link. I forgot the... Get him. I can actually screen warp into the boss room here, but you have to hit them all in a row, and I missed one, unfortunately. There we go. So the last two dungeons have been they've been a little sloppy, but we're gonna be okay. This is the most RNG heavy boss in the speedrun here at the end of Dungeon 5. grab him. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now he has hit 8 hit points. So when I do get a clean grab, I gotta watch my health here, unfortunately. You want to make sure you get all 4 hits in. I've actually gotten in 5 hits once, but you still have to get 2 grabs on him. If you let that boss fight go on for too long, he'll start faking you out. You'll grab him and it'll be a fake, and it'll explode in your face. And then you still need to wait for good RNG so he's on your side of the screen. You want to make sure you get him down as fast as possible, because that fight can just get out of control very easily. There's a way to move an object to another room in... What do you mean? I'm sorry, I'm probably a little bit behind chat here. You can move sprites from one room to another. You can move enemies from one room to another. Usually it's not really under your control, but things like the small keys and the hook shots, items that you want to be able to pick up are usually pretty easy to move around, as long as they're not right on the edge of the screen. I need a shovel. I know I just dipped in the cave earlier, so I can save and quit right back to it. And now we're in that cave under the Mermaid Statue, but again, need to be able to open up the cave. And I also need to trade in the Mermaid scale so that the Lens of Truth actually spawns. So you can see it was still the Mermaid scale. Walking in. Oh, okay. Ooh! Oh, I thought that bomb was gonna hit me. I got one more. And all that screen warping lets me get by the big fat walrus there. You see, he looks very happy. He's very happy. He's asleep. He's dreaming of Marin, and Marin singing. But it takes a long time to get him to move properly without skipping around. But again, in a no wrong warp category, you would get by him by using bomb trigger glitches to make him think that you've brought Marin with you. I tried to screen warp that room. But that's just an easy seashell to miss. But otherwise it's very, very easy and quick to get to it. In my head, I'm trying to think if I've missed a piece of heart somewhere. Oh no, I didn't. I did. Okay. But it's okay. Just had to leave and come back. There you go. Trade my hook shot for the boomerang. Whoops. Wow. I managed to, What just happened? I think I managed to trigger the, the text box. What are you doing? What are you doing, game? Give me my boomerang. There we go. That was really weird. That I couldn't get out of the looping. It's like the text was looping on itself. I bet the NPC was there twice. And I was just talking to both of them with one button press. Come on now. To the right. If I can ever go right one screen from here. Oh my gosh. Over here. There we go. Actually puts you back in the library. So we're all the way back in town now. And I need to go back into Kennel World, but now I have the power of fire. So I can fry these chickens to get my 6 enemy kills. That's number 3. The trick is you have to make sure the sprite disappears from the screen entirely. Otherwise it doesn't count. 5 and 6. There we go. Now I'm gonna make our way to Dungeon 4. We're not going to be in Dungeon 4 very long, because I'm already done. I've already done everything here except fight the boss. And he goes down to 3 simple bomb arrows, so even he doesn't take very long at all. Not having bomb arrows there is a real pain in the neck. I think it's 12 or 16 arrows. I think it's 12 or 16 shots with the magic rod too. Bomb arrows, for whatever reason, do a lot more damage to him than anything else. Can you see? Ooh. 1, 2, 3. No, I know where all 4 my... I know where all 4 of the remaining heart pieces are, so I haven't skipped anything by accident, at least, on the piece of heart count. Now we're gonna get song 2 here. So if you happen to be swinging your sword when you jump out of the water and start the cutscene, it lets you move left and right, which saves you a couple of pixels of movement, to be honest. It's not the biggest time save in the world, but it looks cool. You get to goof around in the cutscene a little bit. Boots. 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 Give me the boots. There we go. We've got our magic potion. We've actually got quite a bit of item collecting to do before we get to Dungeon 3. Boom, boom, boom. 15. I'm worried I may have skipped a seashell, but we'll know in a couple of minutes. And even if I skip the seashell, even though this is a 100% category, there are backup seashells. We don't end up actually picking up all of the seashells in 100%. Once you pick up 20 of them and turn them in for the level 2 sword, the last 6 seashells all disappear anyway, so they can't be gotten. So the 100% rules say you can just pick up 20, turn them in, and then there are no more seashells to pick up. So that's the same thing as having picked up all possible seashells. Which is nice, in case I've missed one. There's at least one seashell that's easy for me to get, rather than going to have to figure out which one I managed to skip by accident. But I think we might be okay, now I'm thinking about it in my head, trying to count them off in my head. Come on. Try to get on the bottom here. Screen warp to the right, and I'm gonna have to refresh the screen, because when you screen warp, any items that are buried underground tend to shift somewhere. But then, even though that looks like one of the 5 golden leaves, it actually is... I jumped too early. It actually is the Dungeon 3 key. Oh my gosh. There's nothing really at all difficult about that jump, but that one jump in particular, I just can't figure it out without boots for some reason. I'm jumping right back in the hole here because I actually need to be out of bounds, if you will, in this cave. And then I save and quit as soon as I got in because there are a lot of different ways to soft lock inside the cave here. We're at 16, good. So we're good. I'm gonna make sure I'm on the second column here. And I told you we were gonna see Wart from Super Mario 2. And here he is, in all his glory. Perfectly authentic reproduction from Super Mario Bros. 2 card, obviously. I don't know what it looks like on the marathon stream. My OBS is running at 60, so it's got this nice fade in the background from one screen to the other. My CRT is not 60 FPS, and it looks just awful. The flickering is very bad on my TV. But yeah, that's where War is supposed to be. Obviously coming in by illegitimate means means the game doesn't load in a sprite properly, and it looks a little goofy. Just a little bit. 17, 18. Yeah, we're good on seashells. We're good. I haven't skipped anything. Ooh, now I gotta open Dungeon 3. Now that I've got the key. There we go. And I already grabbed that small key earlier. Yes, yes, yes. I'm gonna need a fire rod glitch here to make this chest pop right away. And this is the key cavern, but I'm only going to need 2 small keys to clear it. Thanks to the power of screen warping, mostly. Boom, 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 boom. I'm gonna use one here. And I'm gonna use one to get through the weird little maze that's running through the middle of the dungeon here. I'm gonna screen warp here and use a small key to open up this block as soon as I get over there. This block right here. Then I'm gonna hug the wall, jump, and hold diagonally into this last one. And when that text box appears, it gives you just enough freedom of movement to squeeze yourself through. Wow. Through the corner, rather than having to open up the key block. And I can screen warp into the boss room here, but that tends to make the boss spawn off screen, and he moves very, very, very slowly. So by the time he gets back on screen so I can fight him, it's been a lot of time passes. And having the magic rod here is obviously unexpected by the game. The magic eyes go, the eyeballs go down to 1 shot each from the magic rod. You can, if you want, also use the fire rod glitch to completely despawn the bosses in each dungeon, but then you do not get the piece of the heart container for doing so. I forgot I needed the magic rod here. Because the owl is right there waiting to talk to me. He's got something apparently that's important to tell me, but if we're lucky, if we do things right, we're not going to see the owl at all during this speedrun. He talks too much. Get over there. There we go. You know, at this point, I could have just walked around the wall. I'm just trying to screen warp over. There we go. should put us at 19. Yeah, this is number 20. So it's all my seashells. I'm going to go turn them in for the level 2 sword, which is called the level 2 sword in pretty much any official material for the game. It's a level 2 sword in the instruction booklet. I think it's level 2 sword in the guide, the player's guide. It's level 2 sword in Nintendo Power. So it's definitely not the Master Sword. Like, definitely not. Which is just really silly, but... And we're going to save and quit there, because for whatever reason, Whoops. Where's my select button? There we go. For whatever reason, the Seashell Shrine does not change where your save and quit warping will take you. One, two. I'm headed back to the Kennel World, so I need to take out some more bad guys. To the left. So that was weird. The animation to load the map screen was, I think it skipped when I had the fire on the screen. That was weird. And if you're familiar with the game, you'll notice that I'm going to Dungeon 2, and I'm kind of already there, but I need to get inbounds in Dungeon 2. Being in the Kennel World version of Dungeon 2 doesn't really help me out here. And then, wow, come on, go away. Then this room, whoops, you have to kill enemies in a certain order. Come over here, bunny. So I can't use the fire rod glitch. He's body blocking this bat. There we go. Man, just walked right on top of the bat. You have to kill the enemies in a certain order, so I can't use the fire rod glitch, because that kills everybody all at the same time. Unfortunately. Whoop. I need that small key. Wow, it's just gonna be right on top of me, huh? Go away. I'm gonna use the fire rod glitch as I walk into the next room and try to. We'll see if it. I brought a bat with me. I brought a couple of bats with me. But if I get both of those with good timing, go away. Then the staircase will appear immediately. Unfortunately, the bat's kind of carried over with me. That and that. So your Dungeon 2 boss is the Mad Genie, and if you're playing casually, you're gonna get here and you might have, at most, 5 hearts. You probably only have 4 hearts, and he has a lot more health than you do. But you can skip the entire first phase of the fight by picking up the bottle, getting a wall clip, and kind of throwing it out of bounds. Then I'm gonna drop a bomb, and you can use bomb arrows, but I've got the magic rod, and try to knock him back into the bomb. And that'll take him out immediately. But even just being able to skip the first phase of the fight can be a big deal. Let's see, I've got one more heart container to pick up. Got one more piece of heart to pick up. The Arcadeus in Dungeon 1, obviously. I've already got Rock's Feather out of there, so I don't have to worry about that. Where's my Ocarina? There it is. And the last piece of heart, rather, is going to be one of the last items we pick up, even after we do Dungeon 1. Come on, Link. Boom, boom, boom. Then I'm going to at least walk into the house here, just in case I missed a screen warp, which I think I did. Look at that. Of course I did, because I'm talking about missing it. But now I can just reset and try again, rather than go all the way back to Dungeon 2. And since there's nothing special for us to grab in Dungeon 1, I can just screen warp right up the middle, basically. Get right to the Nightmare Key. And again, this is another dungeon where I could screen warp into the boss fight. Unfortunately, doing so, mainly in Dungeon 1, tends to just soft lock the game. When you screen warp into the boss room, it'll just get confused and teleport you to a completely different room, and then the game just freezes at that point, actually. Rather than a soft lock, the game just is completely frozen. So I'll go ahead and just grab the key. And since you're not supposed to have the level 2 sword here, he goes down very quickly. Just one shot from a spin attack with a level 2 sword. Or 2 spin attacks from the level 1 sword. I'm gonna go teleport all the way back to the pond. I need to go back to town, so you might think it's just faster just to screen warp up to town, but the owl is there waiting to talk to me, so I'd have to skip him with a fire rod glitch. Then I'd have to get a couple of screen warps, and then the room I'm trying to go to begin with is on the northern half of town. So it ends up being just a little bit faster to go this way to get to where I want to go. I'm assuming I can get a screen warp here. Thank you. And then we're gonna hang out in this house basically until we go fight the final boss. And the screen warp here, I gotta loop around because of the weird corners. But this should be, yep, last piece of heart. And make sure it actually adds to my inventory. Good. And then if you look at the inventory screen, I'm missing the Dungeon 6 key right now, so I have to go get that as well. But we're not gonna have to leave the house to go get that. Right up here in the corner. And just go left a little bit. Thought it was one more screen. There we go. Now he's gonna drop the Dungeon 6 key. The only danger there is if you manage to kill him in the middle of a jump, sometimes the key will spawn just completely off screen. And now we're all set for our trip to the Windfish Egg, which we're not going to do either. I'm not going to go out of bounds here. It's just a very handy... This house is very conveniently located. Over here, I need bombs and a sword. I was trying to skip this text box coming in by mashing bombs. We didn't get the text skip. But there are 2 quick kills here in the final boss rush here. One of which is right on the first phase. Let me see if I get it first. Alright, let me find my magic powder. Though it may have actually counted as a hit, so let's see. 1, 2, and that should take him out. Good. Alright, so normally it's 3 hits with the magic powder. But it was only 2 because I managed to catch the blob with a spin attack, and if you get the timing and position exactly right, you can actually get the blob to be stuck on the end of your sword. And if you just kind of wiggle back and forth, it just will eventually just kill the boss. But even if it doesn't, it's dealing damage over time. And we've seen this fight before countless times. After the first 2, it's a 50% chance whether or not he throws a magic he can actually reflect. There we go. Good. So I got the second quick kill down, which is just getting in the right spot, timing your spin slash, and then you just get stun locked right there in place. Grab the boots. Whoa, I actually went through them by accident. I'm just making everything look way more difficult than it needs to be. But that phase goes down very quickly to boots with the level 2 sword. That goes down to 1 hit from pretty much anything. And that's just gonna leave Deathel. And it'll take 16 arrows to take him down. You gotta wait for the eye to open. If you're just absolutely insane, you can use 16 bombs. But you have to time the fuse of the bombs with the RNG of the eyeball opening. And it also goes down to 1 shot exactly from the boomerang. I don't think that's an... I haven't looked at the route in a while, but as far as I know, the boomerang's still not worth going after unless it's a 100% run. And time is when screen fades to white. Screen fades to white. There we go. I think it was a 103.9, but that is it for Link's Awakening 100% reverse boss order. Thank you very much for inviting me to run in Handheld Heroes. And good luck to the rest of the runners on the schedule. Plenty of fantastic games coming up, including a couple of Zelda games early Sunday morning. It's a shame we couldn't make a whole block out of it, but good luck to everybody for the rest of the marathon.